Hey everyone, this is Jeff Risdon from the Detroit Lions podcast and Lions Wire. And I was at Lions OTAs yesterday on May 30th. This is May 31st, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about what I saw yesterday in Allen Park. So let's go with that. All right, this was the second practice of OTAs that was open to the media. I missed the first one. My son graduated high school that day. So I got over there yesterday, made sure I made a point to get over there. And it was a good trip, good fun day. Took a lot longer than it needed to get there, but that's the state of road construction in the state of Michigan right now. A few things that were focused on yesterday. Biggest focus, and we'll lead with that, was Hendon Hooker. He got a lot of run with the first team yesterday. Between, Goff was there, he was fine. But Hooker clearly got a lot of first team reps as well as nearly all the second team reps. I'll be honest, not sure that Nate Sudfeld got more than just a handful of reps on the main field. It might not even been that. From my vantage point, I didn't see much of him at all. So Hooker, this was my first time seeing him post-surgery, really like moving around, running the show. And I came away fairly impressed. This is a guy that hasn't, done a lot of playing. Obviously missed his rookie season with the knee injury. And one of the things that he talked about after practice was that he feels a lot stronger physically, both upper body and lower body. And looking at him and comparing back to when I saw him at Tennessee and when I saw him down at the Senior Bowl, I agree. He has filled out a little bit more in his frame, especially in his lower body. He always had kind of a skinniness to him, but he definitely looks stronger. And there were a couple of situations yesterday where he tucked and ran, and that was a dynamic. It caught the defense a little bit off guard, and it was something that was very welcome to see. He had no inhibitions, no limitations with his running. Looked very spry and quick in doing that. His throwing, pretty good. Really good a lot of the time. And one of the things that I wanted to focus on with Hooker was he struggled a little bit at Tennessee when he had to come off of his first or second read, move around a little bit, and then reevaluate the field. And I thought he did a pretty good job with that yesterday. There were a couple of situations where the pressure got to him a little bit. Talk about the pressure a little bit. But he was able to reset his feet, find his target, deliver a strike. Not every throw was a strike. There were some that were a little bit low. There were some that were a little bit high. There was one particular drill where they had to catch the snap, immediately turn and throw to the side to the three basket target. And he was rough in that one. In fact, he missed the entire basket target 3 or 4 times. And had another one that clanked off the frame and darn near broke the thing. So that was a drill that probably wasn't his best. So, it's a work in progress, but I was happy to see the progress. And I think that one of the things that he said in his press conference afterwards, and it struck me, was that he talked about the need to just play and be free and not think about what he was doing. And you can see, it's visible when you're watching him in practice when he's thinking too much. Or when he's aiming the ball instead of just throwing the ball. There is a difference. It's very tangible, and I think he notices that too, and I think that's something that he's working on. So overall, pretty positive return on Hendon Hooker. I was pretty pleased with it. So, we have a number 2 quarterback. By the way, I will give Justin Rogers credit for asking the question about whether he feels any pressure to, now that Jared Goff has gotten the big contract, and Hooker was like, come on, man, get real. Which, isn't a reflection on Justin. It's a reflection on the question. He knows what he's here to do. He is the backup quarterback. There's no question about that. He's happy being number 2 behind Jared Goff. There's no quarterback controversy in Detroit. As much as some people are trying to make it out to be, yeah. So move on from Hooker a little bit. one of the other notes that I had. So I'll give you a little bit of a logistical standing from the day. So there are the two fields, that's practice fields. There's a left field and a right field. The right field is where most of the action was going on after the initial individual workouts. I stayed in the stands on the left field, and I was there with 3 or 4 other people, and we watched from that vantage point more than watching from like the end zone view. We had a sideline view from like the 35-yard line of that field, and everybody else was kind of in the end zone on the other side. I kind of like to do where I'm on my own a little bit and get a different perspective from what everybody else is watching. So from that, my notes and observations might be a little different than what you see from other people. And I like it. I appreciate that way. That's something that I learned at the Senior Bowl many, many years ago. An old scouting friend, who's actually retired now, told me to do that. And it's something that served me very well. So I try to get a little bit of a different perspective than where everybody else was yesterday. So from that, as an example, I'll bring up the Terrion Arnold interception off Jared Goff. I saw the play. I saw it from the sideline view. And I'll be honest, I couldn't tell it was Terrion at first that caught it because it was through a little bit of a crowd from where we were at. The tight end was breaking a different way. And then, we saw the throw, we saw the catch, we saw the interception, but we couldn't tell, like, was that Terrion? Like we asked each other and thanks to Dave Burkett, because he did actually spy that it was Terrion, but what a spectacular play that was. And it's interesting because Colton Pouncey tweeted out about this, and Colton was over on the other side with the end zone view of the play. It was probably a very good vantage point for that. But he tweeted out that Arnold made a great interception on it, and instantly most of the comments were about Jared Goff getting picked off rather than Arnold making a big play. And it was something that was very reflective to me because I had tweeted out that Jameson Williams had an interesting day. And I'm going to have Ash put the tweet up here. Ash is our producer. Hopefully he will find the tweet and get it up there. I'm going to send it to him. But I tweeted out that Jameson Williams had an up and down day, and that he made a great play where he absolutely roasted Ifeatu Malifa over the top. And caught a pass behind the defense. It would have been an easy 6 points. But then he also had a drop on a simple pass. And to a man, every single one of them talked about Jameson Williams making a drop and being a flop and being a bust and never growing. And everybody ignored the fact that he made a spectacular play. It's the focus on the negativity. It's tiresome, man. It's frustrating. The fact that nobody pays any attention to the good, that they only want to focus on the bad. That's something that's it wears on me, man. I'll be honest with you. It's tough. It's tough when you're just tweeting out like a regular positive, like somebody always has to, and I'll say not just somebody, it seems like more people want to go to the counter side and talk about the negative part of it. As an example, yesterday, there was another play where, number 39, let me look him up here before I get his name. Norris, undrafted rookie cornerback out of Fresno State, had a pretty good day. He made my Lions Wire notes as a secret superstar. One of the plays that he made was he made a break on a ball and broke up a pass to Maurice Alexander from Hendon Hooker on the sidelines. That was a fantastic play by Norris. And it's interesting that, like, the comment from it, the first 2 comments that I saw were like, Hooker not getting that ball. Like, guys, make plays, man. Like, enjoy the good part of the play as much as you relish in the negative, bad part of the play. That's something that I want to challenge Lions fans to do better at. And I'm going to do better at it too, because I'll be honest with you, the reactions to the tweet that I sent out being just that overwhelmingly negative on it and completely ignoring the positive, it made me think, it made me reflect on, like, can I present this better? Did I frame this in such a way that brought on the negativity? Is it something, that I can do better at? And I'm going to try to do better at that. I'm going to try to make it so I'm more focused on how the reaction might be, or how my words might be construed. I'm going to try to do a little bit better at that, because that's something that I can definitely get better at that, and I want to do that. But then I can say, because I thought Jamo had a pretty good day. I really do. I thought his route running was fine. He was sharp. He made a couple of crisp routes that were very nice. Made some nice catches. Made a nice catch that was on the throw a little bit behind him up from Goff, where he kind of had to adjust like this, and he caught it with his hands, pulled it right in. There's still a little bit of body catching to him. That's sort of who he is. But overall, I thought it was a really good day. And just from that one tweet, everybody's going oh, gee, so I'm going to work on framing those things better, but I'm also going to challenge you as Lions fans to police that a little bit. If you see somebody just writing off, that's, oh my God, everything's day, do me a favor, do all of us Lions media a favor, and try to, back off that ledge a little bit if you can. There's my soliloquizing for the day. Because I do think Jameson Williams, by and large, had a very impressive day. Did he have a couple drops? Yeah, he did. There was one of them where the one that I mentioned in the tweet was a drill where they're throwing things at him to simulate contact and focus on attention. And he wasn't the only one who dropped passes in that. Khalif dropped one. Doris Fountain bobbled one but caught it. By the way, Fountain had a great day. Donovan Peoples-Jones had one where he got a little bit distracted and it didn't catch it. Laporta had one where he didn't catch it in that same drill. So it's the way that the mind wanders and goes to certain places with certain players. It's interesting. It's fascinating. It's incredibly frustrating too. So again, I'm going to try to do better at that sort of thing. And help me out on that though, because if I'm not doing better at it, I would like to know. And I'm sure we will get to know on that. I'll drink my coffee to that one. All right. Next up, got to talk about the Money Badger, Michael Badgley. So one of the reasons I stayed on the second field was because they were doing kicking in front of us, right in front of us. And we got to see Michael Badgley start poorly. He missed either 2 or 3 of his first 5. And one of the disadvantages of being on the side was that we couldn't quite tell if one of the kicks was wide right or not. And the collection of us were there I don't know. So he might have made it. He might have missed it. I don't know, but he started really slow. And then Badgley was on fire. I believe he kicked 20 kicks. After the first 5, he did not miss. And a lot of those kicks were really long. The longest was 61 yards. And he put everything he's got into it, and he nailed it. And it was probably good from 63, maybe 64. It cleared the bar that much. He hit 3 in a row from 53 from the left, right, and center, left, right, center hashes. The one from the left hash mark was just inside the right upright, but he made it. And I was very impressed with it. I thought he had a great day. He showed he's got a cute little gimmick or motion before he goes in and kicks. And it's interesting because I think back to one of the ones that he missed, and he didn't do it. And I wonder if he just wasn't ready for it, or it was the one where Scott Daly, the long snapper, didn't have a particularly good snap, and Jack Fox had to kind of scramble to get it ready for him, and that might have thrown him off a little bit. But the leg strength was definitely there. In the kickoff area, there wasn't a lot of difference between him and James Turner, the undrafted rookie from Michigan, who's the camp leg going up against him. And a lot of what they were doing in that was intentionally directed to kick to a certain spot, so they could evaluate the return game much more than it was evaluating the kicker. So it's hard to say on that. But Badgley was money. No pun intended. Well, pun intended The money badger was definitely money on Thursday afternoon in Allen Park. And by the way, it was a very clear day, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. As you can tell, I got a little bit of sunburn on my nose and face. But very little wind, maybe a little bit of a cross breeze from left to right, and maybe just a kiss behind it, but it wasn't more than 5 miles per hour at any time. So very, very good conditions, and he nailed them, man. It was good to see. As you know, I'm an advocate for the money badger. I don't think that needs to be replaced. Can it be challenged? Absolutely. Everybody, with rare exception on this team, needs to be competed against, needs to be challenged, needs to be proving that they're still who they are. And James Turner certainly has a big leg. He did spray one way, way wide left. But beyond that, I thought he looked like, okay, fine. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the kicking situation. But my sense from talking to a couple people yesterday and also at the rookie minicamp is that it's Badgley's job, and they're only really looking to replace him if he gives them reason to. And thus far, this spring, he's been money. Sorry. All right. Go on to a couple other things here. Personnel-wise, a lot of people sitting out, and one of the things that does is that it gives you opportunities to see who backs up who. Taylor Decker wasn't there. So the first team offensive line at first was Dan Skipper playing left tackle. And they're not in pads. They didn't really go full speed in the session where I was privy to watching the line. So it's hard to tell on that other than just who was where. But the one that struck me was Colby Sorsdal, the second-year player. So Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler were also out. So 3/5 of your starting offensive line is out. So Colby Sorsdal filled in as the starting, or I should say, first team right guard. Panay was there, and Graham Glasgow was there, and Graham Glasgow played left tackle. He did not play center that I saw. Now, again, people on the other field, they might have seen him play some center. I didn't see that. That's where we're at. But Sorsdal also was the second team left tackle. When Skipper took a blow, Sorsdal moved over to the left tackle spot and was out there. And Natani Muti moved into the right guard spot. And by the way, from what little I did see, Moody can move people. That guy, there's some brute power there. But then Sorsdal also, when Glasgow took a break, he kicked in and played a couple of reps at left guard. So we're seeing him everywhere. And then Panay, when Panay got a rest and Skipper came back in, Sorsdal moved over and played right tackle. So it's clear they're trying to find where he fits best. Or, and this is my preferred line of thinking, and I don't know if they agree with this or not, I think they're making him into like the ultimate backup weapon at offensive line. He's your sixth offensive lineman. He can play guard, he can play tackle, he can play either side of the line, left, right. And I kind of like that. Again, it's tough to evaluate the skill because they didn't have pads on. There's no tackling. So they did do some pass rush stuff in the team drills. And there was one where I know Matthew Betts got to him. And Betts, again, I wasn't really focusing on this, but Betts stood out and went because he made you like, oh, who got that pressure on Hooker there? Oh, who won that? So Betts looks like he's going to sell you an extended warranty to car dealership, but man, the guy gets to the quarterback. It's uncanny. So good for him. One of the Canadians there. Again, with the other offensive linemen, Manu, the other guys that are in there, Brian Hudson. I just didn't check them out yesterday. Just wasn't where my focus was. A couple other personnel things. Ennis Rakestraw did not really do team drills. He did do the positional drills, at least some of them. So when you walk out to the practice, again, there's the two fields, and the right field is where the starters and guys who play a lot are. And it was interesting to me that Rakestraw was not with that group. He was on the other field with the undrafted free agents and the guys who probably aren't going to make the team. And I don't know the rhyme or reason for that. Maybe it's just to get him reps more in that time. He's still clearly limited by the training staff in what he can and can't do. So it could just be that they're trying to get him the mental walkthrough reps that he wouldn't get on the other field. Could be. But it was interesting to me that he was over there, and also Broadrick Martin was over on that field as well. And Chris Smith was with the other field. He was on the primary field. And again, I don't know if it was just to give Broadrick more reps or if it's anything to read into, but it's worth noting, but also not worth reading too much into, if you catch where I'm going with that. Just an observation, something to file away for a little bit later. Let's do that. Get the notes here. God, my handwriting stinks. Notes, yeah, not great. A lot of them on Hooker there. Yeah. So the guys who stood out, running back drills. This was one, and this is actually why I went over to the left field, was because they set up the running back drills right in front of us where we could see and hear everything that was going on. And it's kind of fun to hear Scotty Montgomery coach these guys. Jahmyr Gibbs was not there. So it was, everybody else was there though. And watching David Montgomery go through like the ladder drill and the strip drill and agility drills, he's on a different level than everybody else on the team. And that includes Craig Reynolds, who's really good at doing the drills too. Craig always went first and Montgomery always went last. And I wonder, again, I don't know if there's anything to it, but it was interesting to me that the veteran likes to go last, instead of first, whether he's, just, and yeah, it's not worth reading too much into other than just filing it away as an observation. But there's going to be a battle between Jamar Jefferson and Sione Vaki and Zonovan Knight for that, and Jake Funk too, for who's sticking on the active roster and who's going to be on the practice squad. And there's probably not room for all of those guys to stay. I think Vaki is perfectly, there's not a chance he's going to be the special teams player du jour. And he caught the ball very well out of the backfield as well. But that battle between Funk and Knight and Jefferson is one to watch. And I know, I look, it's for like the 53rd spot on the active roster. I get that. That's probably not the most compelling, but it's going to be a battle because they all offer something different and they all have good qualities. And it will be interesting to see which one the Lions pick. Funk is a very accomplished receiver. I think you saw with Knight, one of the things that Montgomery kept getting on him about was being more decisive with his runs. With Jamar, constantly, Jamar, get your pads down, pad level. Screamed at him a lot. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they fit out about that. And that's another one. When I go back next week for the mandatory minicamp, by the way, this week was all voluntary, so the guys who weren't there didn't have to be there. Next week we'll see truly who's, like, if there's anybody that's disgruntled or anything. I don't expect any of that. But that running back battle is going to be one to watch. And again, it's kind of, by the way, one other thing, there is no fullback. The tight ends are doing that. And one of the players that stood out was Parker Hesse, guy who's in his third season, played linebacker at Iowa and has converted to tight end. He's 3-year veteran, hasn't really played much, but has been around the league. He was better than James Mitchell yesterday. And I dare say he was as good as Brock Wright was yesterday. Again, one day observation. Don't read too much into it, but file it away. That Parker Hesse is a very, and I noticed this also at the rookie minicamp. Guy can play. And he's going to challenge James Mitchell. James Mitchell's not going to make this team unless he earns it. And I don't think that was the case last year. I think he still had a little bit of a grace because of his draft status. I think that's gone. And it will be interesting to see what happens with that. But that's another one that, as you look forward to camp battles, pay attention to that one because I do think that one's an important one. Wow, gotta bring up the downside. So one of the questions that we get asked, we collectively as the Detroit media get asked a lot, is what's the biggest weakness on the team? Yesterday, without question, and without Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, it was the safeties in coverage. Folks, it's bad. I don't want to like over dramatize. Don't want to make too much emphasis of it, but it was bad. Like watching Brandon Joseph and Iffy as your starting safeties in coverage is rough. Joseph had a couple of nice reps. Iffy had one really nice play where Hooker checked out of the tight end in front of him. Iffy closed and would have blown him up if they were allowed to hit. But coverage is just not his thing. He's so slow to identify his range, whether he has to go long or to the outside or cross over. He just doesn't see that well yet. And the offense takes advantage of it. There was one play, by the way, Khalif Raymond, my goodness. He broke his ankles Allen Iverson style. And it was, that was one where the offensive players let the defensive players know that they got one over on that. But and then the backup safeties weren't any better. So it was rough. Again, you're missing your two best coverage safeties, so obviously that's going to be an issue. But there's some real trepidation on my part about the depth of safety and coverage. Now, some of that gets mitigated because the outside cornerback play with Terrion, with Amik, with Kendall Vildor, who had an up and down day, but made some plays and looked all right. Khalil Dorsey had a couple of moments. Morris Norris looked very good, as I mentioned earlier, as a guy who's got a shot to stick around. That's been better. I do think the pass rush is better. We did see some, again, with the reserve interior offensive line, and jumbling. There was some pressure up the gut. And I think that's something that we haven't seen a lot of from this Lions defense. So it's sort of shifting around where the vulnerability is. But if you're looking for an area where the Lions could still need to upgrade, it's coverage safety. And I don't think that Justin Simmons is on the menu. I really don't. But wouldn't hurt. Just a couple of quick little points before we wrap up here, because I've been talking at you for way too long. And I do appreciate that. And thank everyone for liking and subscribing. So you know when I'm going to be doing this. I will try to do a video recap after next Wednesday and Thursday. I'm unavailable on Tuesday to go to Allen Park, but I will be there Wednesday and Thursday for the last 2 days of the mandatory minicamp. And please check out Lions Wire. I'll have stuff up there as well. Two other quick little things. I did not get there, or I was not in the building at the time when Dan Campbell talked, but he talked about the expanded summer thing, where the proposal to move things around, and I thought he gave a great answer about just like, I'll deal with it when it happens. That's kind of the way I want my head coach to be, dialed in, not worried about the extraneous stuff that may or may not happen. I thought that was a good answer. The other one I wanted to talk about a little bit was Broadrick Martin, because Broadrick talked afterwards and thought he talked. And again, I was like right. I could reach out and touch him, and it was the first time I'd been that close to him since last summer. And seeing how much mass he's lost from his cheeks and his neck and the upper part of his chest, where he was girthy, and he's reshaped himself. He's still large, and he's still got some fat to him. He'll acknowledge that. No offense, Broadrick. I got some too. You're doing a better job of managing it than I am too, buddy. But he talks about getting serious and getting the thing that I liked. And Brad Galley asked him this question. I'll give Brad credit on this. He asked him where he felt like he'd improved the most, and Martin one of the things I love about Broadrick is he always thinks about his answers. He's not a guy who's going to give you a cliched answer. He thought about it. You can see him, the wheels turn a little bit. And he said, the mental part of the game, he's more prepared and just understands what it takes to be a professional better. I thought that was a really good answer. And a couple other things that he said, one of them was the DJ Reader has already taken to him. And this is a great indication of the culture in Detroit and why DJ Reader fits so well. Broadrick said that he didn't even know DJ Reader until they met in the locker room. And Reader had already watched all of Broadrick Martin's film and had notes for him on how he could get better. Folks, that's the kind of player you want in your locker room. And the fact that Broadrick was so accepting of it and clearly appreciative, and shocked, man, this guy, I don't even know him and he's trying to make me that much better. That's such a great sign for the culture that Brad and Dan are trying to build in Detroit and successfully building. I loved hearing that. The other one, he talked a little bit about Terrell Williams. And Terrell Williams is a new defensive line coach. And he said one of the things that Terrell said is be more violent with your hands. And somebody made the comment, defensive linemen always want to hear that. He's like, yeah. Yes, bring on the violence. So, again, it's hard to ascertain how it's going to translate to the field yet. But this is a different Broadrick Martin who's in a much better place entering his second season, and I am hopeful that it will translate very well. So with that, I'm going to call it a day. Hopefully this gets posted pretty soon. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the weather if you can get outside. One real quick thing, a lot of you know I'm a volleyball player myself. I'm retired from competition now, but the Michigan State boys volleyball high school championships are today. Hudsonville and Grand Haven are playing in D1, and South Christian and Lowell are playing in D2. Good luck to all the players that are involved. If you're in the Cornerstone University area, which is on the east side of Grand Rapids, go out and catch it. It's a great growing sport. I'm so thankful that we're going to be a varsity sport in a couple of years, and I will step off my promoter soapbox there. And bid you adieu. Thanks.